Good morning, everyone. I realise I look awful. It's 9 AM on my day off from work, September the 10th, and today is a very important day. I've just got out the shower because I can't risk having a shower later because it's going to be one of those days where I am sat waiting for the doorbell to ring. It is release day for The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, which is the sequel to one of my favourite books of all time, The Handmaid's Tale, which I'm currently reading. I've only read a little bit, and I thought I'd just like to turn this into kind of a little reading vlog, kind of tracking my thoughts throughout the process of reading both books. Now, me and The Handmaid's Tale have got a very long, loving relationship. I first read this book when I was about 16, and since then I've read it several times. I've read it for university, I read it several times for my dissertation, I've read it for pleasure. It's one of my favourite books of all time. And so I am so anticipating this sequel. Did I ever want a sequel? I'm not sure. I need to go back and read my original Goodreads review, I think. Sorry, I've also got a cold. This is going to be cut regularly. Yeah, I'll have to check my Goodreads reviews to see whether I ever wanted a sequel, because I'm not sure. But this book as well, not this exact copy, but this story is the same age as me. We were born the same year. As a result, I've always felt very close to this book. If you've never read The Handmaid's Tale or watched the TV show, I've not watched the TV show. I've always been a bit worried it'll ruin it, but at the same time I do want to check it out. The main plot of this is that the world has gone to absolute shit. So it's a dystopian, and it's kind of one of the OG dystopians of the fiction world. It's not like YA dystopian. This is like full-blown, oh my goodness. So the world has gone to poop. These dictators in this place that is now known as Gilead, but used to be some part of America, I think. I'm very early on into my rereading. I've not read this book for about 10 years. Women have kind of been divided up, is the best way of putting it. So you have ones like the main character in this, Offred, who are handmaids. Their job is to be placed into homes and to sleep with the husband of the house to create babies. Then there's the Marthas. They're kind of like housemaids, basically. There's also the, I can't think what they're called. I'll have to update you on the rest of these as I read, because I'm having a mind blank and I'm so tired. Being up at this time on my day off from work is actually like, because I've been awake a while now. I only had about 5 hours sleep. My eyes are burning and I'm going to make that worse by just sitting reading this. I'm also been making a cup of tea, so I should probably crack on with that actually. So I've just wasted 45 minutes drinking my cup of tea and reading random stuff online about the Testaments. Mainly, I checked Goodreads to see if I actually ever wrote a review. I didn't seem to. Helpful. I then read the Q&A on Goodreads with Margaret Atwood. I then had a little glance over Twitter and Instagram and saw someone moaning that Amazon weren't going to be delivering their book today. They better deliver my book today or there'll be trouble. So, I am now going to get back to reading. I am on page 27, which is chapter 4. By the way, it's been ages since I've read a book with this smaller font, and now I know why I started preferring Kindle books instead. Like, what a tiny font. I'm not sure how long it takes me to read a page, so I'm not sure how many pages I'm averaging an hour, so I might kind of track that now. I'll get back to you in an hour's time and see what page I'm on then. Ready, steady, go! I've literally read like 6 lines or something and I've just come across another type of job. So the positions, as I said, in this society, the women have got specific positions, but also the men have. So there is guardians. They actually like keep guard of the house, but they do so many other things too. So this one, for example, that's been assigned to the household is washing the car. There's also the commanders. So that's like the head man of the house. And what else have we not covered yet? I'm just going to have to keep updating you as I go, because I'm too sleepy to give any sort of accurate wording right now. And also, this is the main reason why I wanted to reread this book before reading the new one, because I remember the general storyline, but the details are long gone. So I can't wait to get to grips with the details again. So I've just come across a really kind of standout quotation that I remember from when I was at school. And it's basically that Aunt Lydia says that we are a society dying of too much choice. This is definitely something that is applicable to today's world. We are surrounded by choice. Many people struggle to make decisions because there are endless choices. If there were less choices, would life be easier? Of course, this book takes things the other way because in this new society, choice isn't really a thing for a lot of the people, especially the handmaids. So she's just been talking as well about the shops and how they don't have names anymore and that the signs are just kind of pictures to help you recognise what the shop is. It's just really sad, isn't it, that a society can go like this. Like a few pages ago, there was a CompuCheck, which basically checks their kind of number ID kind of things to let them out of the compound. Again, that's definitely something that we see in today's world in terms of like ID and things like that. It's just, this book is so scary that this was like 1985 and that we've kind of been heading towards this ever since. And the more modern the world gets, the more like Gilead we get. This book also just shows you how fast you can kind of be twisted into another line of thinking. So I've just read a bit where they've come across some Japanese tourists, and this is the kind of details I was after. Like, I totally forgot about this bit. So Offred, by the way, I should probably quickly cover the names. So the handmaids start off with Of, and then you will have your commander's name afterwards. So we've met someone called Ofglen, and we've got Offred. Offred, the main character, her commander's name therefore is Fred. That's just basically how the naming is going. So they've lost any of their original identities. They've also got these strict uniforms. And these Japanese tourists are kind of dressed how Offred used to dress. So we've got like short skirts, high-heeled shoes, and she like comments on the makeup as well, like the lipstick. And she said that they stopped walking. She can't take her eyes off these women, and she's fascinated but also repelled. They seem undressed. It has taken so little time to change our minds about things like this. And I think I used to dress like that. That was freedom. Westernized, they used to call it. Like, even though she doesn't really agree with how society is now, at the same time she still feels that she probably couldn't easily go back, let's face it. She finds their outfits awful. It'd be like an old woman seeing a teenager come down the stairs with a like mini skirt on and like boobs practically out. Kind of like that same level of disgust. We've also already met our first pregnant handmaid in the book, someone that she knew previously as Janine, and a lot of interesting things are covered about that. We've also got the whole interesting aspect of plastic. So Offred was guilty of kind of keeping too much plastic. Plastic's not a thing now. And again, that's just another reflection of society these days. Like, we're trying to cut down on our plastic. Plastic straws are practically extinct at this point. It's like everything is this book. It's so scary. I remember now why I love this so much. So there's also this place called The Wall, and there are hooks hanging out of this wall where dead bodies are hanging, and they've got like bags over their heads. As Offred and Offglen have gone past this time, they are doctors that are hanging from there, and they've basically been killed because before this society was even a thing, back in the olden days, they were doctors who might have had something to do with women having abortions. And these days, in this society, abortions are massively illegal, but beyond that as well, just massively frowned upon because babies are so precious at this point. People are struggling to have babies. Where's the exact part? So Offred says, no woman in her right mind these days would seek to prevent a birth should she be so lucky as to conceive. I also love how this book jumps in time. So we've now got a flashback to when Offred was younger, before the society had come what it is, when it was more just like a normal society. They've come across some people that are burning books and magazines, and it's evident on these magazines that they are like some sort of porn magazines, because there's naked women mentioned, or like just adult magazines in general, maybe a bit of modelling-y kind of things, so like just fashion maybe. And her mum even goes, you want to throw one on, honey? Good riddance to bad rubbish. So it wasn't something that came overnight, this society. I mean, I'm hoping I get answers from this in the Testaments actually, but at what point do things reach a point of no return? So they're burning magazines and books, but this is when Offred was a child. In my memory, Offred makes it to maybe her early 20s, maybe even mid-20s, before things properly change. Like, she gets a partner called Luke. And I'm pretty sure she had a daughter too. How did things progress? Why did no one stop it? Wow. I need this new book. And it's still not here. And I really need to stop updating you constantly on my thoughts. I mean, I'm on page 48. At what point does this video get spoilery? But then this book has been out for like 34 years. Is it even a spoiler at this point to talk about it? Either way, I need to stop updating you like every other page that I read, because it's going to take me about a year to read it at this point. But yeah, so curious as to how we got to that point and no one did anything. Oh my god, a couple of pages later and they're at the wall again, and this time there is a priest and two guardians. I think it was guardians. Two guardians, and the guardians have been hung for gender treachery, which basically means they were caught in a sexual encounter. So you also can't be gay in this society. Yeah, I'd forgot all these really little details, and it's just blowing my mind away, honestly. So my mum was round this afternoon, and guess what finally came? It's chunky. It's like 400 pages. I want to read this now. This is the only problem when you suddenly decide last minute you should really reread something. I'm only 94 pages into this, and now I have this, and I just want to read this, and I don't know what to do. It's just like, wow, to finally have this in my hands. Also, to find out how many pages it was, I nearly spoiled myself for something on the back page. I swear my eyes kind of half glanced over something. I was like, must not look, must not look, must not look. So now I'm even more like, ooh, because I want to know what that page was. And obviously I'm not going to look. I'm not that person anymore. I used to be that person. I used to read the last page before I started a book. I don't do that now, but oh, the temptation. I want to. I mean, I couldn't really sit up. I suppose I could actually. I could sit up reading this all night. I have work tomorrow, but you know, if I started this right now, I could read it all tonight. Whereas if I read this tonight, I can finish it, maybe, probably, depending on what I do tonight. But I couldn't get much of this thread. And I'm at work on a 14-hour day tomorrow and Thursday. So it'd be Friday before I get to make any serious headway with this, and I don't know what to do. I'm obviously going to carry on reading The Handmaid's Tale. What am I even on about? I just need to film wrap up. Oh, so hard life, isn't it? Why can't I be a kid again and just have all the spare time in the world to read? You could be fooled into thinking this clip is from the same day as the previous clip, just because I'm wearing the same jumper. Complete coincidence. It's nearly, 2-3 weeks later. I've been in a massive reading slump. I just couldn't shift myself out of it. I've not even been watching any booktube. So it is now the 30th of September, and I'm still reading The Handmaid's Tale. I'm on page 201, so I have started making progress. Most of that progress was made last night. I just kind of felt in the mood to finally start getting into reading again. But I've just not been reading at all. I've been really busy with work. I've been feeling quite burnt out. I've had cold after cold. I've just felt really run down. And so I've not been making any videos, not been watching any videos, and not been reading. I do want to try and finish this tonight. I'm not sure whether that will happen or not. If not, there's always tomorrow. Either way, I really want to try and crack on with these now because I've been filming this video for nearly a month, really. Getting that way. Also, I wanted to quickly update because a part of this that I read last night just really made me like... So I'd forgot how the way the society kind of falls down from what we know as the norm is because everything becomes so controlled. People no longer have cash. Cashless society has been a thing for a while. And so with your kind of equivalent of a bank card, although it's more than that, it's like, it's your ID, it's your everything. The government, well, it wasn't even the government, because before all this even kicks off, the government get kind of removed from society. It's claimed by like a terrorist attack, and all of this was just ringing so close to home. I mean, this is from 1985, and we've got like threats of terrorism, the effects of society and the control that that has upon society. I mean, we've still got all the different kind of conspiracies this day and age as to what has been suggested in this book. And I was just like shocked at how real and close to home some of this kind of stretches to. Beyond that, we've also then, so therefore, as I said, got the government coming down. I can't remember who takes over, but the people that take over basically leave it a few weeks to die down, but let people get scared. They then take women's jobs away. Like, what the heck? People don't dare march and go on kind of protests because they're scared. The people that do get shot at. And then at the same time, women's bank cards stop working. Women aren't allowed to own any property, and it's all down to the men basically. So if you're married, your husband now owns your money. If you are single, I'm not really sure what happens. There is an example of a character in the book who is a lesbian, and she said that she would just go underground and use the underground kind of black markety kind of underground, not like the underground road, not like the undergrounds in like the tube. I mean like the undergrounds in like in that way. So yeah, she said that she would just go underground and get some gay men to use her card for her to pass her stuff on to her. What a crazy, yet you could see how this comes about. It's blowing my mind. I'd forgot so many of these little details. I love this book so much, and I'm hoping that this little bit of reading that I did last night does just help me get back into the swing of reading this for the next day or two, so I can finally move on to the Testaments. I'm at the point where I was like, there was no need for me to pre-order this book because I've still not picked it up. So it's a few days later and it's just gone midnight and I've finally finished The Handmaid's... My hair's gone in my mouth. Finally finished The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. 5 stars, goes without saying. Enjoyed it just as much this time around, even though it took me a lot longer to read than I thought it would. But basically, this is still standing the test of time for me. It's wonderful. I have nothing but praise for it. And now I get to start this excitement. I'm really wondering how I'm going to get on with this, because I thought I'd read some spoilers when this first came out, and now I'm hoping that I didn't. And I'm hoping that this isn't going to go in the direction that I expect. But yes, so excited, finally. Obviously, because of the ridiculous time that it now is, I won't be filming any more updates this evening. I will hopefully update tomorrow with how I'm getting on with it, but I have got a busy day tomorrow. Otherwise it might be Sunday. Either way, how exciting, I'm making some progress. Oh, and in terms of anything extra that I could say about The Handmaid's Tale, I just can't even think right now. I'd forgot just how abruptly the main text ends, and then how we move on to like the weird kind of transcript bit at the end of the lecture hall, and the interesting points that raises, and how it makes you question what will have actually happened to Offred. It's all just, yeah, I'm in a bit of awe right now because I just forgot how wonderful that book is. So I've been really rubbish at filming updates, but I've been making, and nearly hitting myself in the face, making excellent progress with The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. As you can see, I'm about 150 pages in, and yeah, as I said, I've been rubbish at updating. So my quick thoughts, first of all, I've seen loads of people kind of go on about how much they love Aunt Lydia's perspective. I didn't find myself liking her perspective for the first few times that it popped up. I don't know, I felt like that bit was already overhyped for me. I was like, why is everyone loving this? I don't get this. This makes no obsessive sense to me. I was actually enjoying the perspectives of the two females more. So I'm awful with names. One of them is something beginning with A, and she's the one that's still in Gilead, growing up in Gilead. And I've got a feeling, so here's my theory. I think that the girl that's in Gilead, whose real mum supposedly like was a handmaid and ran away, I think that was Offred. But I also think that is her original daughter, the one that she'd had with Luke back in The Handmaid's Tale. Meanwhile, the girl that's in Canada, I think she's in Canada. Memory test, I think she's in Canada. I am awful, aren't I? The other girl that is in Canada, I think she might be the child that we never were really properly sure existed during The Handmaid's Tale. At the very end, when she gets pregnant by Nick, I'm wondering if that's Offred and Nick's child. She's already obviously kind of part of Gilead. Here's another prediction from... Right, if you've not read up to page 150 in this book, aka... what's the chapter name? Also known as chapter 25. If you've not read that far, this next bit will definitely massively spoil you and you should leave. So we've just learned that the girl who lives in Canada is baby Nicole, aka the baby that got stolen from Gilead on the female underground railroady thing. That's not what it's called. I'm having a mind blank. I'm so tired today. So yeah, I kind of called it from very early on in the book that she would be baby Nicole. It was so shoved in your face. If you didn't guess that, then you obviously don't read many books that leave you guessing, because it was just so thrown in your face. It was rubbed right in there. So yeah, it was very obvious to me that she was going to turn out to be baby Nicole. But what if baby Nicole is Offred's second child? Like I said, the one that she became pregnant with Nick. That would be cool. So then we're following both Offred's children in this book. That's my theory. I might be about to make myself look an idiot when I finish this later on, but that's what I'm rolling with. I will put this clip in regardless, so that even if I am terribly wrong, I can look like an idiot to everyone. But yeah, other thoughts. I'm loving all the extra details and information we're getting. As I said, I don't know whether I ever really wanted or needed this sequel, but I did enjoy the thought of it coming out, and I was very hyped for it the moment I found out. And so reading this is amazing. And I don't have any strong thoughts. I'm loving the writing style. It's just so easy to get into. A lot of Man Booker shortlisted books are not the easiest of reads. This just flows. Margaret Atwood's writing, I just love her writing so much. So yeah, onwards and upwards. I will be reading more of this later on. and hopefully I can finish it by, well, today's Tuesday. Hopefully I can finish it by Thursday. That would be good. There's a goal for you. Okay, spoiler bound, but I knew it. So I am on page 331 and I have just had confirmation of what I predicted several pages back, a couple of hundred pages back, quite frankly, and they are indeed sisters. It's so nice to have confirmation. I turned the page, there was another document. My mother had had a second child. That child had been smuggled into Canada as an infant. Her name was Nicole. There was a baby picture. Baby Nicole. Oh my goodness. I can't tell whether I am on the ball or whether this was just made too obvious to begin with, which is a sad thought if that's the case, because come on, Margaret Atwood. I'm not used to you being predictable. I'm really sad that I'm not going to be able to finish this in this sitting because I've got to get ready for work. But wow, I want to know what happens. I am still really confused as to Aunt Lydia's exact motive. I don't think she's even fully set in her own way of what her plan is. By the seams of it, she could still change her direction because I feel like she has been the leak. She is working with Mayday and she could still yet go back on all of that. But I doubt that'll happen because Gilead does fall. So yeah, that's my current just quick, oh my god, I was right moment. And yeah, back to reading. So I got in from work last night and I finished the Testaments. There was no way I was going to bed and going to sleep without reading this first. And by the end of it, I've got to say I felt kind of blown away. I mean, Aunt Lydia made me really think about my whole thought process with her, because obviously she's not a likeable character in The Handmaid's Tale at all. Yet in this, because you get her perspective and because you understand everything she's going through and the promises she'd made to herself at the beginning when you're learning about how Gilead kind of came to be, and then versus the end when she's trying to take everything down, I feel honestly like so much respect for Aunt Lydia now. Meanwhile, obviously there is the issue that this was predictable. I was correct in my guesses. I don't believe, because I was kind of almost flying through the end, I don't believe it's ever confirmed that they are Offred's daughters, but it's definitely strongly implied. So I think that my guess with that was totally bang on, and it was quite an early guess, which does annoy me. The bit at the end that I thought I'd spoiled for myself on the day where it came, when I was looking how many page numbers there were, wasn't actually as big a spoiler as I thought. I noticed because the page number's there. Whoa! The page number's there. And obviously we've got like this last bit here and it says, in loving memory of. And I'd just seen that bit. And I was kind of like, oh my god, I've just caught like Offred's gravestone or something. But actually no, it's actually Becca's. And Becca is such a wonderful character. I've got so much love for Becca. She's stronger than she realizes. She goes through so much shit, and she actually is she's just wonderful. She sacrifices herself for the help of her friend, but also to help solve the problem that is Gilead. And so much love for Becca. As for Agnes and Nicole, or Aunt Victoria and Jade, to use some of their other names, I really liked them both. It felt almost like they accepted the fact that they were sisters a bit too easily, would be like my main comment. But I really liked them both as individual characters before the whole sister thing came to be. And I loved how their journey back out of Gilead is what made their relationship stronger. From then on, it became believable. It was just till that moment I was like, you're just accepting each other a bit too easily. But then their journey back was solidifying for them, and I totally get why they got along with each other in such a wonderful way and built their relationship very quickly. Do I think this was wrapped up in a neat little bow? Yes. Do I need a sequel? No. Would I like a sequel? Yeah. I'd actually like even more information on how everything comes properly tumbling down, kind of the events that happen once this book finishes. Because this one ends again with the same sort of thing as the Handmaid's Tale, where there's like this future seminar thing where they're looking back at the history of Gilead and the falling down of Gilead. And obviously you get some extra little bits of info there as to how everything went down, but I'd like a kind of insider's view. I think that'd make quite a nice novella. I don't think Margaret Atwood is ever going to do anything else with these. I'm surprised that she even did this one. And do I think it was part of milking the TV show? I'm still not sure. I now want to watch the TV show because I've not seen it. And apparently it does help make this book probably even more impactful, I'd say, because you get kind of the gaps between these filled in. So yeah. I'd also just quite like more on Aunt Lydia. I feel like a novella of Aunt Lydia throughout just her time in Gilead or during the downfall would be great. I just can honestly say that these two books as a pair now are part of my favourite books of all time list. The Handmaid's Tale was already on there, and I didn't know whether the Testaments would be up to that level, but it was for me. Definitely a 5-star read. So easy to read as well. Like, if you're worried about reading either of these two, you're worried about how accessible they are. The Handmaid's Tale is slightly harder to read, but the Testaments especially is such an easy read. That said, if you have watched to the end of this and not read both of these, I have spoiled you massively. You've clearly taken no notice of my spoilers kind of mentioned everywhere, and so you probably have no reason to even want to read these anymore, I'd say. But there we are. I love these. Read them. If for some reason you've watched the video this far and you haven't actually read them, read them anyway, even though I've spoiled you. If you have read these and you want to talk with me in the comments down below about them, please do, because I've just got so much I could say about these forever and ever, I think. What wonderful books, and I love how the colours complement each other too. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye!